Hello and welcome to the Nightly News brought to you by St. Rose Television at the College of St. Rose. I'm David Meister and alongside me today is Danica Dixon.
Hello everyone. Thanks David. From this week on, the SRTV program's Nightly News and St. Rose Fire Chats will now be live every Monday. Check out our social media for more information.
This week in Nightly News we will be covering Larkfest, a recent protest, family weekend, an opportunity to learn about ethics in government, and this week in the NFL. This past weekend, Albany had its 35th annual Larkfest. It is the largest street festival in upstate New York with an attendance of around 80,000 people. The event contained food trucks, live music, and activity for all ages to enjoy. For those of you who missed the event, be sure to attend next year's festivals, as it's an event you wouldn't want to miss.
A crowd of more than 40 students, faculty, and community members gathered outside of the Thelma P. Lally School of Education on this past Thursday evening to protest and demand the resignation of the college's president, Carolyn J. Stefanko. The group, wielding signs expressing their discontent with the president, marched in a circle for more than an hour, shouting, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, Stefanko must go," and "Don't be nuts, stop the cuts," along with other chants opposing the president and the proposed financial cutbacks. The time and location of the protest was no coincidence. Stefanko was set to participate alongside with several Hearst Corporation executives, including George Hearst III, in a panel discussion titled Navigating the Winding Road to Change. The discussion focused on how women in leadership positions can work to assert themselves.
This upcoming weekend, St. Rose will be having its annual family weekend, joined by the alumni reunion. The weekend will include a variety of different activities, such as a welcome back party, student showcase, and a photo booth, along with performances by the Girls Next Door and the Other Guys, a cricket demonstration, and the Mr. Wizard Show provided by the Natural Science Association. Definitely come out and participate with your family and friends for an unforgettable weekend.
The fourth annual Jurist in Residence program at St. Rose will consist of a panel of legal and media experts discussing the topic of ethics in government under the title Bribery or Just Access to Elected Officials. Tawdry tales of Ferreras, Rolexes, and ball gowns. The event is to take place at 5:30 p.m. on October 6th in 2E Forum of the Lally School of Education. St. Rose alumna U.S. District Judge Loretta A. Preska will provide an opening review of how Supreme Court decisions can affect recent lower court cases, including the rulings for the convictions of former state politicians. In addition to Preska, other panelists include Preet Bahara, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Grant Jaquith, First Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of New York, E. Stewart Jones, Jr., a Capital Region Criminal Defense Attorney, and Rex Smith, Vice President and Editor of the Times-Union.
And now let's go over to Theodore Stabile, SRTV meteorologist, to take us into this week's weather.
Thanks, David. It feels great to be back. It also feels officially like fall, with temperatures dropping below 40 this morning. Here's this week's forecast for you. So on Monday over here, we start off in the AM with a bit of fog, and in the PM mostly sunny, so you can relive those bittersweet end of the summer days. Then we have a high of 65 degrees Fahrenheit with a low of 45. Then we move to Tuesday, where it's going to be mostly cloudy with a high of 74 and a low of 47. Move on to Wednesday, you get a few clouds with a slightly lower high of 71 and a slightly higher low of 52 degrees. Then we move on to Thursday, we'll be receiving light rain with a high of 64 and a low of 55. You know what they say about light rains? Like ducks. Then you move on to Friday, where we'll be mostly cloudy with a high of 66 and a low of 55. It's about time to start getting your fall clothes ready, as you can see I have. And that wraps it up for this week's forecast. Back to you, David.
Let's get into our sports segment I like to call Dave's Gridiron Rundown. Each week I'll be recapping all the action from the current week in the NFL season. So without further ado, let's get rolling. Starting last Thursday night with the Texans and Patriots, Jacoby Brissett playing in relief for the injured Jimmy Garoppolo, and the rookie made some waves, keeping the Patriots undefeated, winning 27-0 over Houston. Moving on to the games from yesterday, Bills and Cardinals. Bills trying to avoid an 0-3 start on the season, and that's exactly what they did. Running back LaShawn McCoy had a great day with 2 touchdowns as Buffalo gets its first win, 33-18. Titans and Raiders. Tennessee had a chance to win the game late, but it was called back on a penalty. Raiders hold on 17-10. Giants and Redskins. Washington also trying to avoid an 0-3 start to the season, and they got help from the Giants. New York was called for a slew of penalties, and the Skins win their for the first time this year, 29-27. Browns and Dolphins. Cleveland's kicker Cody Parkey missed a field goal at the end of regulation that would have won it. In overtime, Jay Ajayi scored with 8 minutes left to propel Miami to the victory, 30-24. Jaguars and Ravens. Jacksonville had plenty of chances late to win the game, forcing 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter, but nothing came out of it. Ravens take this one 19-17. Packers and Lions. Aaron Rodgers jump-started the offense for the first time this season. Green Bay led at the half, but Detroit came roaring back. However, it was not enough. Packers win 34-27. Bengals and Broncos. Denver quarterback Trevor Siemian continued to amaze everyone and is starting to prove that he's a worthy successor to Peyton Manning. Siemian threw for 4 touchdowns as Denver remains undefeated. Final score 29-17. Panthers and Vikings, Cam Newton had one of the worst days of his career, throwing 3 interceptions and getting sacked 8 times by the Minnesota defense as they upset the Panthers 22-10. Buccaneers and Rams, the Rams scored their first touchdown since moving to LA. This game was delayed for an hour in the fourth quarter due to lightning, but that didn't faze the Rams. They win 37-32. 49ers and Seahawks, Russell Wilson goes down with an injury which put the rookie Trevon Boykin in for the last quarter and a half, but it didn't matter. Seattle's offense was clicking on all cylinders, and they win 37-18. Jets and Chiefs, Kansas City also got help from their opponents as the Jets turned the ball over 8 times. Chiefs win 24-3. Colts and Chargers, Andrew Luck hooked up with wideout T.Y. Hilton with 1 minute left to play for the go-ahead touchdown, and the Colts held on over San Diego 26-22. Steelers and Eagles, Phillies quarterback Carson Wentz continued to amaze in a rout of Pittsburgh 34-3. Philadelphia remains undefeated on the year. Finally, on Sunday Night Football, Cowboys and Bears, rookie quarterback Dak Prescott threw his first touchdown of his career as Dallas beat Chicago 31-17. That's all from the games yesterday, but as you all know, we do have Monday Night Football tonight, which will pit the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. And an interesting fact, 10 years ago yesterday, the Superdome in New Orleans reopened after Hurricane Katrina, and the Saints won that game 23-3 against, guess who? Tonight's opponent, the Atlanta Falcons. And on a sad day in sports yesterday, Marlins pitcher Jose Fernandez was involved in a tragic boating accident. He was 24. And the King, Arnold Palmer, also passed away at the age of 87. Arnie played the game of golf with class and will sorely be missed by many. Rest in peace, Arnold Palmer. Always a part of the Big Three and always will be the king in our hearts. And that's all for the Gridiron Rundown today.
Thank you all for tuning in to this week's Nightly News. I'm Danica.
And I'm David.
Coming up next is St. Rose Fireside Chats. Stay tuned.